Welcome back to Arc Tutorials. This is Cypress JS top 40 interview questions and answers with detailed code snippets. This is part of the full stack interview question answer series pack that I have launched on my channel. It covers over 30 technologies and over 2000 interview questions, answers with detailed code snippet. You can crack UI developer role, mean stack, merge stack, backend developer, databases. All these technologies are covered. You can get your copies at arctutorials.gumroad.com. Alright, let's continue. This is part 2 of the series. If you have missed out on the first part, make sure you check it out. Alright, let's start. What is the difference between cy.get and cy.find? cy.get method is used to find elements from the entire page or the root DOM element, whereas cy.find is used to find elements with a specific DOM element. For example, when you say cy.get, you're trying to find elements from the entire page. cy.find is it's like search within a certain element. Let's say you have a drop down, select drop down. You want to find a value. You can use .find. So that way you are restricting the parent basically. .get will find from the entire page. .find will be within a certain DOM element. That's the difference. Now here you can see by example cy.get container. You're getting the entire container and then finding something inside it, right? So that is the main difference between get and find. Make sure you explain with examples that I'm giving. It will be more convincing. How do you handle timeouts in Cypress? Cypress has inbuilt mechanism for timeout settings for commands. For example, if you want to do, you can just pass that extra parameter, adjust the timeout. But it's already inbuilt, so you don't have to really pass it. But if you want to increase or give a custom value, you can always do that by extending the timeout value here. What are Cypress fixtures and how are they used? Fixtures are nothing but they are static data files, okay? And those are usually JSON format, which are stored under Cypress/fixtures folder. Now, why are they used? We use it in multiple cases. Let's say you're for retrieving mock data. That's number one. Number two, it can also be used to serve, let's say you want to have a streaming kind of an app that you're testing. You can use that file for sending that data. So those are common use cases. Or let's say you're trying to write to a file and read it from a file, you can use that fixture for that. So basically anywhere, wherever you want to use static data files for reading purpose, you can use fixture. How do you use it? You'll write cypress.fixture and then followed by the path of the file. Then whatever you want to do the operations inside it. How do you handle asynchronous behavior with Cypress? Cypress, the best part about Cypress is that it has the inbuilt mechanism for asynchronous. That means it automatically waits for commands and assertions to be completed. However, there would be use cases where you are working with, say, promises or custom callbacks where you want to handle them. You can also do that by doing something like this. Let's say .wait. Okay, so here you are mentioning wait, although you don't have to mention it explicitly in other commands or other places, because like I said, Cypress already has that mechanism inbuilt to wait for that command and assertions to complete. But still, if you want to handle them properly, you can add cy.wait for this to complete. Okay. How do you run tests in parallel using Cypress dashboard? Now this is pretty simple. Whenever you're running the command in a pipeline, CI/CD pipeline, or your setup of your project repo, you can just do npx cypress run and you can write --parallel. That's the parameter that you have to pass for configuration, and it would run your tests in parallel. How do you perform cross-browser testing in Cypress? Cypress supports cross-browser testing with Chrome, Firefox, Edge. You can mention it in the command line in the pipeline where you're running. You can run the command npx cypress run --browser followed by the name of the browser that you want to choose. Let's say you want to run on Edge, you'll give Edge. You want to run with Chrome, you'll write Chrome, whatever that is. Important thing, understand and remember this command. How do you use custom commands in Cypress? While there are a lot of inbuilt methods that Cypress provides, we can also add our own command, okay, to extend that particular functionality. Now, how do you do that? You can define by saying cypress.commands.add. This is the one, this is the way we add the custom commands. Here you will pass the name of the command that you want to use, followed by user parameters, and then write the definition of that particular method. Think of it, right? You are writing a new function or a method, and then you will call it like cy.login with params. How do you handle dynamic content with Cypress? Cypress automatically retries commands, making it useful for testing dynamic content. However, we can use cy.wait and cy.intercept to manage content that appears asynchronously. So here you can see this will wait for this content to be visible because Cypress has inbuilt mechanism. But if I want to force it, I can just write above this line, I can write cy.wait and give a timeout. Or even better, if you are making an API call, you can use cy.intercept and make it explicitly send you a certain mock data. How do you handle multiple tabs / windows in Cypress? Now this is pretty simple, straightforward. It does not natively support multiple tabs or windows, okay? But you can always capture it by linking that window. For example, you can say cy.get a target equal to underscore blank. Now this will invoke it and into as a new window, okay? That's the only way to get it done. There is no built-in mechanism of Cypress which will open multiple tabs. How do you integrate Cypress with CI/CD tools? You basically just run the headless mode of Cypress, right? And you can integrate that with Jenkins, GitHub Actions, Circle CI, Bitbucket, and the pipeline, basically any pipeline of your choice. The command you will integrate is npx cypress run --headless --browser Chrome. This is the parameter you have to pass, which is --headless. All right, we'll stop here in this part. I've covered another 10 in this part. I'll cover remaining 2 in the other parts, but make sure you get all of this PDF and much more at arctutorials.gumroad.com. You don't want to miss out on this one. This is a once in a lifetime buy. You'll cover all these technologies that are listed, and these are forever green. All right. So write to me if you have any doubts at surya.aradhya@gmail.com. Thank you so much for joining. See you in the next episode.